right, this seems like a pretty good point in the season to do like a quick New York Knicks gut check. I've not made a video about the Knicks in a minute. I haven't talked about them in a second. And looking at things now, they're currently the third best team in the Eastern Conference. They're coming off of a win against the Orlando Magic. Now, this is a massively depleted Orlando Magic team. They are without Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero, two guys who, if healthy, are all-star players this season. Without a doubt, both of those guys have been amazing this season. They would have both made the all-star game if they were available. It's still a possibility for Wagner to make it, not so much with Paulo Banchero. But regardless, great win here for the Knicks. Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns were dominant in this game. Cat especially, he has been so good from a rebounding standpoint over his last few games. This was a 2020 game for him, one of many in his career so far. And as I said, the rebounding from him over the last couple of games here, it's been otherworldly. I think this season is the most rebounds he's averaged so far in his career. He is doing so much for this team. So this season has been like a case study on the offensive impact of Karl Anthony Towns. I really feel like his offensive impact and his dominance and how skilled he truly is, that's kind of been pushed to the side a bit over the last couple of seasons because of the entire dynamic between him and Rudy Gobert. He was obviously limited a bit in his offensive role with Gobert being out there on the court with him. He wasn't able to drive the basket as much because you had a guy like Rudy Gobert sitting in the paint, right? So he was kind of relegated to doing a lot of catch and shoot stuff. Yes, there was some variation in the offense here and there, but primarily we weren't able to get like the best version of Karl Anthony Towns over the last few seasons. It hasn't been bad, but it could have been better, right? The fit between him and Gobert worked sometimes, but I don't think we got the most optimized version of Cat last season or over the last couple of years where him and Gobert have been on the court together. So this season seems like a reminder to us about how dominant Cat is as an offensive force, right? Amazing three-point shooting this season. Not only has he been the best big man three-point shooter in the league this season, but simply one of the best three-point shooters in the league in general, right? Like he's taking a high volume of three-point shots and he's making a high volume of three-point shots. Ridiculously efficient. It's not like one of those things where he's taking a few a game and making a few a game. He's getting a decently high volume of shots up from downtown, and we're just seeing how his ability to space the floor as a five benefits that Knicks offense as a whole. The Knicks offense has been relatively subpar over the last few seasons. Now that you have a guy like Cat spacing the floor, you open up driving lanes. And that's great to have when you have guys like Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, and also Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart, who are amazing when it comes to putting the ball on the deck and attacking the rim. And Cat has also done that himself. He is utilizing his ability as a shooter, as a deep threat, to draw guys out to the three-point line, and he's amazing when it comes to driving closeouts and attacking the rim. With the dominance of Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid over the last couple of seasons, Cat's kind of been forgotten a bit as an offensive force. And as I said, this season just seems like a reminder about how dominant he truly is from an offensive standpoint. There are not a lot of big men like Karl Anthony Towns over the course of NBA history, flat out. Not just his scoring too, but his passing. So there are going to be times where Thibodeau posts him up, maybe either in the deeper post or like in the high post. And he is amazing when it comes to finding cutters. He's amazing at finding those seams in the defense and hitting guys. Like as far as big men go, he's an above average passer. Right. And you love having that. So not only is he operating as a scoring threat, but you can use him as this offensive hub. I talked about this at the beginning of the season. Maybe he's operating out of the post or the top of the key. Guys are cutting or doing whatever, and he's utilizing his passing ability to find those guys. It has created a massive benefit for this Knicks offense. Again, they have gone from being a relatively subpar offense that was really centric around Jalen Brunson, almost to a fault at times, especially in the playoffs, to now having a more balanced attack on that end of the floor. Definitely an all-star season from Cat. Definitely an all-NBA season from him. He's been the second best center in the NBA this season. I mean, it's kind of tough to say considering that Joel Embiid has not been healthy this year. But still, right? Like he still stepped up, he still done his thing, he still performed at a high level, really defying some of the expectations because there were some people that didn't think him being here in New York was going to make them that much more of a threat relative to the last couple of seasons, right? And I understood that sentiment just a bit. As I said, I've not been the biggest fan of Cat over the last couple of seasons. Yes, I acknowledge how skilled of a player he is, but there are just things that he was doing in the playoffs that I just wasn't messing with. And hopefully that stuff doesn't come back up in the playoffs this season around April and whatever when that time comes up. But a lot of people just forgot about how great Cat is and what he brings to the table. So when the trade happened, it was kind of like, how much does this really make them? How much better does this really make this Knicks team? And now we're seeing them, and they have been much better from an offensive standpoint. It's good to have just another offensive option next to Jalen Brunson. Not saying that Randall was a bad offensive option next to Brunson, but Cat's just better. And also on top of that, Randall wasn't even out there on the court in the playoffs for this team last season. So amazing stuff. We can look at this Karl Anthony Towns trade now as an A-plus move because of what he's brought to the table for this team offensively. He's been so good. He's been consistent. Not a lot of massive issues with his performance so far here this season. On to Jalen Brunson. He was impressive as well in this game. I love seeing Jalen Brunson play because it's really funny seeing how many different types of defenders teams will throw at him and seeing him continuously have his way. They're going to be nice where he's getting slowed down. We saw that the other night where they matched up against the Hawks and Dyson Daniels kind of has had his way against him, but you're matching up tonight against Jalen Suggs, who is also one of the best perimeter defensive players in the game. And he has a really, really good night from a scoring standpoint. So in the same week, you go against both Dyson Daniels and Jalen Suggs, two guys who are both all NBA defensive first team types of players. Tonight did an amazing job at responding, getting to his spots. It's the three ball that's working for him. It's the ability to attack the basket and his array of moves that he has once he gets into the paint. All of that stuff. An amazing season once again for Jalen Brunson. And this duo has been just great, right? Like if you look at this Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns duo, simply one of the best 1-2 punches in all of basketball right now, right? Definitely top three right now within that conversation. Those two guys have just been absolutely lethal. Again, Cat spacing just opens up stuff for Brunson and it's opened up stuff for this Knicks offense as a whole. So we'll see what happens as the season progresses here for New York. But at this particular point, things have looked really great for them. They're getting pretty solid bench production. Deuce McBride has been amazing this season off the bench from this team. And also, we haven't even seen the best of Mikal Bridges. And I know it's kind of been a point of contention for Knicks fans this season. Not only his offensive struggles, I think right now he's around the lower part of like that 30% area from three. I think he's around 33% from downtown, but his defense hasn't been there just yet. Now they are trending upwards defensively over the last couple of weeks, but we haven't even gotten the best of Mikal Bridges just yet. 17 points a game, still solid production, but it hasn't been the best version of him so far. Definitely not the version that we saw in Brooklyn over the last couple of years, which makes sense because he's not doing as much shot creation here with this Knicks team. And I was kind of curious about that this season, was how much shot creation were we going to see from Mikal Bridges? But still, the fact that they're playing like this without getting this amazing version of Bridges just yet goes to show you that there's still a lot of places this team can go. They can still get a lot better as the season progresses on. So great stuff. Amazing upside here from this team. Great stuff, I said again, from Cat and Jalen Brunson. And we'll see how things fare out for this team as the season progresses and as teams get healthier in the East, right? It's only going to get more interesting as Philly gets more healthy, right? And as teams kind of round out a bit as we kind of reach near the All-Star break. We're not there just yet, but we're getting towards that point. So we'll see what New York has. Let's hope they can stay consistent. But again, so far at this point in the season, we can call this Karl Anthony Towns trade a W, considering how much people were a little bit critical and really underrated this trade a bit once it happened in the summer.